Joining us today on the 4th and 40 podcast, we have Kerry Wynn, former Giants and Bengals D lineman, inside D lineman, outside D lineman, jack of all trades. If you don't know who he is, he played 6 seasons in the NFL, like I said, under the Bengals for his last season and the Giants for his first 5 seasons. How are we doing today, Kerry?
Doing well, man. Happy to be with you guys.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. So starting off, you actually have a really interesting career. JR was telling me about it. You and JR go back starting at Louisa High School in Bump Ass, or I guess it's in Louisa, but JR's from Bump Ass, Virginia, in the middle of
Well,
nowhere.
he's from Bump Ass too.
Oh, he's from Bump Ass too?
Actually, am. And whenever I call people out here, they never answer the phone because all I see is Bump Ass, Virginia.
That's funny. But you went to Richmond, and I learned today that you actually went there for basketball. Is that right?
No.
That's incorrect.
No,
Incorrect.
he played basketball in high school,
for
and then
one.
he didn't start playing football until what, your junior year?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant junior year of college, JR.
No.
No.
I played basketball all throughout, and then I didn't start playing football until my junior year of high school.
Oh, okay.
And
Did you get any offers for basketball?
No, I did not. My dream was to play at Duke, play basketball.
There it is. Love to see that.
There we go. But see, after my junior year in high school and having, played basketball and football, so there's a lot more opportunity in football. So I started pursuing that heavier.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of got you into football initially? Was it a coach that kind of drew you to it? Did you always really like it or kind of play a little bit and kind of choose it? Or kind of tell me about what kind of drew you to focus solely on football?
Well, I played football and I played Little League back in the day. We didn't have the Pop Warners and all that stuff. In Louisa, we just had, Louisa Little League, and it was 9 through 12. So pretty much a 9-year-old coming in for 4th grader playing against 7th graders. Some of them had like full beards. It was just, you had to grow up quick. But I loved it. I played in my second year. I broke my wrist, and I played 2 more years, and I kind of like got away from football a little bit. I didn't play in middle school, like I said. And then in my 10th grade year, Louisa County was doing really well. The varsity team went to states, and Coach Fisher, who was a coach during that time, he asked me if I wanted to go to workouts, and I begun doing that. Part of me, like every year, I was like, maybe I'll play this year. Then I kind of was like, I'm not going to do it. Maybe next year. But he asked me, I started, working out with the team, and like from there on, I was committed.
How was your experience at Richmond? Small college. Was it hard to get those NFL looks, or what was it like?
So my goal in high school was just to get a scholarship, whether it was football or basketball, was to get a scholarship so I could go to school and not have to pay. So I was happy when I got the scholarship at the University of Richmond. It was actually my only offer that I got. And I got there, and, I was bottom of the totem pole, came in at 205 pounds. Most of the DNs were 250. I redshirted, and I was pretty much a practice dummy that whole year. Mixing up every now and then with the old linemen, but for the most part, I was a practice dummy. And then my second year, I ended up starting and then missing all of that year with nerve damage from stingers. So I started the UVA game. I had a sack, 3 tackles, and then I didn't play again until like the second to last game of the season.
Well, so you got injured in that UVA game, didn't you?
Yeah.
That was when because I'm pretty sure we were at that game. I think we came to that game.
Yeah, and then I put on my junior year. I put on like maybe my junior year was like 240, and then I was starting to play. Starting to show signs, and training camp doing really well. And then I had a coach tell me, he's like, he put me aside and pretty much told me, he's like, you can play beyond this level if you really want it. And that's the first time I had really begun to think, I could play in the league. For me, all it took was one person telling me that. And that kind of became my goal. And each year I got bigger, stronger, faster. And coming out of my senior year, I signed with Sports Stars, which is an agency in New York, and went down right after finished college, trained in Pensacola, Florida, was invited to the Combine and East-West All-Star game. Played very well in that. had a good week, practice, and did decently in the combine and ended up going undrafted.
So we're going to a small school. You definitely had a different experience than like someone like Jeremy Macklin who went to Missouri and they were national champ contender. But you were like, what was the most interesting, I guess, atmosphere or best moment you had in college?
Yeah, so from Louisa County, small school, go to University of Richmond, which is a small school as well. So I always had that chip on my shoulder. And I'd always, we every year we play, it was the first or second game, we play UVA, we play Duke, we play NC State.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like our one game to be in front of 50, 60,000 people and show what we have. So I used to always get up for those games. And my senior year, the first game we had against VMI, I did really well. I had scouts coming to the game, and they're like, okay, well, you did well, but, it was against VMI. So what you do against, next week against North Carolina State.
Uh-huh.
And I remember my family came to that game. I was super hype about it. I could see all the scouts in the end zone before the game watching me warm up, and I was already, hyped to go. It was packed. They came off a win, and this was supposed to be a good season for them. And I remember, if I was a captain, I remember being in the middle of the field, and there was an old lineman who I knew was an NFL prospect as well. And we shook hands before the game, and I remember him telling me, like, play hard. And I kind of thought to myself, and I looked at him like, play hard, like you have no idea, like we about to come out swinging. And ended up having a great game. Had 11 tackles, a few quarterback hits, a few batted balls. It's probably my best game I had in college.
Wow.
And, from there on, like every week, it was multiple scouts coming in, and that's when I felt like I was there. I was getting there.
So that game was like your launching point. Like, do you think if you did, say you had just like a mediocre or regular game, do you think it's maybe less likely you would have made it to the NFL and kind of had a launching point from there? What took you into that draft process and got you noticed that day?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if that was my one time to play against the best, D1 talent and who they viewed as an NFL prospect. And I balled out that game. That game helped me a lot. And even when I went on to the combine and I had, interviews with teams, that was the film we watched. And whenever that game came on, like, I watched that game and, like, I'm a humble guy, but I felt like I couldn't have played any better that game. So whenever that game came on and I watched that game in front of these scouts and these coaches and these D linemen and GMs, like, I knew there was, like, that was kind of like my resume where I put it, a nice resume together.
Yeah. What was it like after? Well, first, give me your best off the field experience at Richmond. Like, what? Give me something that you did down at school that you remember to this day. It was like, damn, that was a great time or something.
Shoot. Unfortunately, looking back, I was an idiot my freshman year. I, stepping on the scene. I wasn't playing, so the team was going. And Friday nights, they're getting ready for games. And Friday nights, me and most of the other freshmen were, out having fun. And I didn't really drink in high school. So my first time that I started drinking was in like my freshman year in college. So I didn't know how to handle liquor.
Sounds like JR. Apple does not far from the tree.
We've all been there.
And, like, it was just at one bad night after the other. And, you say the question was like, experience you remember. I didn't really remember most of those experiences. But so pretty much after the end of my freshman year of college, I was on 3 different probations. I was on academic probation, I was on dorm probation, and I was on conduct probation. Yeah, it was a mess.
Kind of got all out of the way freshman year, and then did you kind of just from there? Like...
And I sat down with my mom and my dad and my sister, and my mom was like, "Look, this is the situation," and she told me, she's like, if you don't stop, you're gonna be right back in Louisa County.
Yeah.
So I had to like that moment.
Oh, that's motivation right there.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, I went to Louisa for I think 2 football games with JR, and
he came when they
it
went
gave
to
me enough motivation to not go there ever again. I mean,
what school did you go to?
I went to Northwest. I'm from Maryland.
He's one of my roommates.
Yeah, I'm roommates with JR. I live in this house. He's downstairs.
So what is it like? I know. Kind of getting into you're talking about family a little bit. I know your sister played Division II volleyball. Your uncle played at Richmond, and then he got drafted by the Oilers. He got drafted, right? Or
Yeah,
did he sign?
Houston Oilers.
Yeah, and then he blew his knee out in training camp, and now Caleb's at Tech. What's that kind of like, having a family tree of football players that have been very successful?
I mean, I remember when I was young, it was like a certain standard that I felt like I had to meet. My mom, she never let me miss a day of school. It was pretty annoying at times. Those mornings we don't want to get up, but it really instilled a level of discipline in me that I still carry to this day. Everybody in my family that I know, they work for what they have. I remember seeing tape of my uncle in college, and he was aggressive, running to the ball, never took a play off, and it kind of was, that discipline, that work, and that that was kind of put down from one generation to the next. When I'm every now and then I go back home when I work out with Caleb, who's at Tech now, and every now and then I check up on him and just tell him like, hey man, it's keep the main thing the main thing. You could make this whatever you want.
Yeah, Caleb, I watched him on TV last year a couple times. I mean, he was getting PT early in the season. He was looking pretty good.
I think he's due for a breakout year. From what I've been talking to him. I mean, he's definitely gotten pretty big from what I've seen.
I mean, as much as I shit on Luisa because of JR, just to make JR feel bad about himself. I mean, you guys have really that high school has put out a few names recently. I mean, you guys got
not the baseball team.
Well, yeah, I mean, kids like JR coming out of there just kind of downgrade the baseball team. But
gosh, we all can't go D1. So
yeah,
we're not all built that way.
But no, we do have a good football program. The basketball team is doing amazing as well. I was able to go back this year and watch them play, and Coach Shelton's done an amazing job with those kids. I remember when I was there, it was the complete opposite. And now we're going to states. We're competitive. We're in the running every year. And the baseball team, like I'm just giving them a hard time. They've always been good as well. So, I mean, I'm very happy to have come from Louisa and the competitive background that I have got from them.
Rug, you want to get into the NFL side of things? I know you have a few things prepared.
Yeah, I just before we get to that, kind of take me back to the pre-draft process. So when you're preparing for the combine, kind of at your position, what drill are you prioritizing? Are you most worried about the 40? Are you most worried about showing well in the bench press? Did you kind of try and just be versatile and prepare for everything? What's it kind of like preparing for the combine, prepared to say just preparing for a regular NFL season? How draining is that process?
Well, being a veteran player, the first thing I tell rookies when they come in is like, this is going to be the longest year of your life, because that was probably the longest year. The longest, because you finish football, your senior year, and then you go right to training. You have training, you're getting ready for the combine, and then in between you have a week where you're going away and you're going to all-star games, and that's a whole week-long process, and you're interviewing with people, and it's long days. And then you go to the combine, and then after that you start flying out and meeting different, teams, and it's just a long process. But going with what you said, so when I was training in Pensacola, Florida, imagine me, coming from Richmond, and then the people I'm training with, 2014, Jadeveon Clowney was one of my workout partners. Eric Ebron, Landry.
Wow. Great athletes.
They were all there, and at the time, like, I didn't even know some of those guys, but as you know them now, they're, all pro players. But it was fun working out every day with those guys, and kind of sizing yourself up and seeing how you compare to them. I was excited about the combine. In my at University of Richmond, I broke, at the time, the bench record. The 40 record still stands. My vert record still stands for D lineman. Like, I knew I was going to do well. I knew that was going to, like, people go to the combine and the draft stock goes up or down. I knew mine was going to go up. And 10 days before the combine, I ran a 4.61 40. And that same time I ran it, that was the last time we were running the combine, running the 40 before the combine, I pulled my hamstring pretty bad.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like from that day until I had to run, it was exactly 10 days later, and I did all the treatment I could. I got all the treatment I could, massaging, and I was there all night trying to get treatment, but there's only so much you can do with a hamstring. You can't, rush it. So I was a little nervous about it. And I ended up pulling my combine I ended up pulling my hamstring running the 40 at the combine. I had one of the top 5 10-yard splits, but when I got to that 20 and I had to open up, that's when it pulled, and I ended up running a 4.91, 4.93 or something like that.
On a pulled hamstring?
Yeah.
Wow.
So my mat time is forever slow.
So that's got to be so frustrating, though, especially running a 4.6 10 days before like that. So after that, did they kind of coaches kind of know that, were they aware of that?
I mean, like I was, I started off strong. You could tell like I was.
Okay, so it was like obvious. You kind of pulled up and okay.
Yeah. And I didn't compete anymore. I didn't do the rest of the drills. Like I was done.
You think that's the reason why you went undrafted?
I'm not gonna say that's the reason. I think everything does happen for a reason. I look back at it, and all glory to God. I think that happened for a reason because the teams have passed up on me. I had so many people that I trained with. They went first round, third round, fifth round, seventh round, like all the ends that I trained with, and a lot of them are no longer in the league. And I remember this one D lineman that I trained with. He was a third round pick out of the Giants, and he was coming in for a workout. So in the NFL, it's not really where you start; it's where you finish. I think me pulling my hamstring, me going undrafted. Sorry, it's my dog in the background. Me going undrafted. That was the best situation I could have been in.
Yeah. Did you have any hamstring problems while you were with the Giants or anything, or was it just kind of isolated incident that just happened?
I mean, a few, it was like maybe one time or one or two times where I may have tweaked it, but nothing near as bad as like I was running full. I pulled it, legit pulled it.
Yeah. 4 out of your 6 seasons, you played the majority of the season, right?
Yeah.
I saw. What happened to your first season in?
Hold on, I'm sorry. What do you want? Oh, her bone is under the couch.
You paid all that money for that new dog. It's acting up.
Oh, this is my baby here. Just turned 5 months.
You went down. Where'd you go to get that? You went down
Nashville, right?
Yeah.
No, so I went down there to get a dog, and like the dog was skittish. I open up the crate and she runs to the back of the crate. So I'm like, man, this is like a dog for me. So I went all the way down to Nashville, passed up a puppy, and then like ended up going back, driving down to North Carolina a few weeks later and getting her.
Really?
Big difference. I'm so glad I didn't. Like I almost got her, and then there was a dog trainer that I was working with, and I FaceTimed her, and she was like, the first puppy, she's like, yeah, don't get that dog. You're gonna have problems with him.
Wow.
The second one, like Bella, this is my puppy's name. Like she runs up, like she ran up to me and was like super friendly. I was like, okay, it's just a puppy.
What is it? What's the dog?
It's it's American Staffordshire Terrier. So it's an Amstaff. It's like a mix. It's like a off-brand like pit bull.
Okay. It's got terrier in it, so it's got strong jaws.
Brand, but like you know what I mean.
So that first season in the NFL, what was that like for you? Getting in there and getting your feet wet?
Man, I didn't get my feet wet until the 12th week of the season.
Really?
First, so I was getting paid, but I was I didn't even know before I got into the league that there's a 53-man roster, but only 46, 47 guys dress each game. So there's people that are getting paid game checks that aren't playing. And I was one of those guys. So I didn't.
And that must be nice, but it must be frustrating at the same time because you're getting paid to do nothing, but you want to get out there and show what you got.
So it was nice on Saturday nights when I wasn't playing because I go out and I travel and I eat what I wanted to eat. I was also 272. Like I was the heaviest I've been, but I was in good shape. I just, I was eating good and front row seats on Sundays. But it was also very nerve wracking because, you're the first to go if something happens. If they need a DB for whatever reason, if somebody goes down, you're on the bubble. So once I was able to start playing, and unfortunately I got my chance due to injury, but that's just the reality how it works in the league. 2 DNs went down. I got my opportunity, and the first game I played 30 snaps. I had a sack, and 2 games later, I'm playing 60 snaps a game.
Yeah.
So, and I was able to get I think I got 1 game ball that year, and I finished that season strong.
What was kind of the moment where you were like, wow, or was there a certain guy you went up against where it was like, wow, I've made it now?
You mean like as far as like being able to go up against that person?
Yeah, just playing somebody or like seeing somebody, like whether it be like a different player. Yeah. When did you kind of realize like, holy shit, like I'm in the NFL and like I'm playing?
Well, shoot, when I first got my first day in the Giants facility, I was sitting having lunch with me, and another rookie was coming. He was going to get his food, but the first person sat down with me was Eli Manning. And I'm sitting here like, oh, what's up? How you doing? And I'm like inside, oh, God, it's Eli Manning. Of course, right? But I played it cool. We had a good conversation, and I see him. If I saw him, today, he's a good guy, and now our relationship is much different. We go back and forth, we joke back and forth. But at the time, like I was like, man, I'm here. I'm sitting having lunch with Eli Manning. That's pretty cool. But I told this other rookie who came in with me, we told ourselves, like, you know what, this whole year we're going to just use this and just enjoy being, kids in the NFL. Like, seeing Russell Wilson and seeing Tom Brady and those guys, like, we're going to enjoy and be like, oh, look, man, that's Tom Brady. Like, check it out, But, like, after that year, it's like, we can't do that anymore. We're in the league too now, so we got to act like it.
That's kind of a good mindset because, like you talked about, how it's such a long year and how you had your senior year, then you have the combine, and you're coming in trying to make the team. So it's got to be relaxing that you make the team as an undrafted free agent, even though, of course, you're still gunning to get on the field. I'm sure it was a relief once you officially made that 53-man roster, and it could kind of settle in and take the time to learn a little bit after that kind of sprint of 6 months.
Right. So it was definitely a relief. It was never a relaxing moment. I never felt like there was a day in the league where I felt like I was comfortable. Because you see people every day coming in, and one person comes in, other person's going out. And there's times where you walk in and you see there's a few people they're sitting in the front door in the facilities. You know who they are. You know what they're there for. And people walk in, they have no idea if they're going into work, and the next thing they're grabbing them, hey, come with me. The GM wants to see you, and then they're packing their bags and they're going elsewhere. So, like, it was definitely a relief because I felt like so many times in my life I've been looked over. And when I got that call from my agent that I made the team, it was a very emotional moment for me because, like, I felt like I had worked my tail off to accomplish that. It didn't, I wasn't emotional at first. And then my sister, she called me, I never forget. And she was, crying. She was so excited. She's like, you did it. You did it. I'm so proud of you. And, like, that's when it got me. You know what I mean? But it was never, like, I don't think there was a time, like, one day where I took it for granted or I relaxed because, like, I've seen guys do it. And, like, those are the same guys that are, before you know it, they're getting cut.
So that Hard Knocks feeling is real. That walking in the door and they're just bring your iPad.
Yeah, that's real. And I was like, you know what? I'm never going to take a day for granted because I'd never want to be that person in that room asking iPad.
Oh God, it had to feel so relieving though when you realized, man, there's 53 guys left and I'm here. Like just looking around, like, wow. I mean, you had to beat out guys that got drafted, right?
Oh, that year? No. So that year it was see, that's why I say it was a perfect situation because I didn't go drafted, but I picked a team where it was 3 rookies undrafted, and we had to duke it out.
Okay.
And, I was fortunate enough
to win that battle.
To win that battle, yeah. But the following year, they brought in somebody and they drafted somebody. So, like, I wasn't supposed to make that team. And then I ended up balling out. in preseason and making the team. And then a few years later, the same thing. They draft somebody. I'm supposed to be the first guy out, and but just having that mentality, like, you know what, I'm gonna make you keep me on this team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make you cut somebody else.
Yeah. I mean,
how'd you like playing for the Giants, and did you like the way you were used in that defense? I mean, was there anything unique about the scheme or any assignments you had that you particularly liked or thrived in? Any type of blitzes that kind of freed you up, or anything in particular that stands out?
I mean, so with the Giants, first and foremost, like the one thing I knew about the Giants coming in was that they had Tiki Barber, who was from a Virginia guy. So I knew of him, and I remember that their D-line was like legit.
Back in like 2007, 2008 with Strahan, Human all those guys.
Right. I remember watching, like, they had a really good D-line. So when I was able to make that team and play with, Matthias Kiwanuka, JPP, Robert Ayers, Cullen Jenkins, like, I felt honored every time I walked into that building, and I'm kind of going off track here. Would you ask me again?
No, that was a pretty good answer. Just kind of like, in addition, was there anything about like the scheme that the Giants ran that you feel like maybe they used you well, or did you like the way you were used in that defense?
Oh, yeah.
Did they kind of just have you straight rushing the passer a lot from that end position?
Well, I felt like, and a lot of people refer to me as like the Army Swiss knife or switchblade, whatever you call
Swiss Army knife.
Swiss Army knife.
That's pretty
cool.
So
that Richmond education.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Shut up. But no, man. So my senior year in college, I played 3-tech, and I hated every minute of it. But when I got into the league, I knew how to rush inside, so it ended up benefiting me. I was able to play inside on pass rush and downs. I was able to play outside on first and second downs, and then I was able to be used in special teams and have a lot of success there. So they always say, like, the more you can do. So I felt like I was used in a lot of different ways, and I enjoyed my time there.
So your versatility helped you out a lot then, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Made you a hot commodity to probably help you make those teams.
It did.
How was that one very, very short year in Cincinnati?
So it was tough, man. It was really tough leaving the Giants, leaving New York. I loved the organization. I felt like a sense of, like, I felt like that was my new home, my second home, away from Virginia. But I signed 2 one-year contracts and I didn't want to sign another one. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to try something new. Coach Lou, who was a DB's coach with the Giants the year before, he was now the D coordinator. And we always had a good relationship when he was with the Giants. And now that he was in Cincinnati, I took a chance. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go there. I'm going to try something new. And it was a great opportunity for me. And I felt like had I not gotten the concussion and I stayed healthy, then I would have had a great year. But, that wasn't in.
Rugg, I know you had an interesting question about the Ben McAdoo area.
Yeah, I wanted to – so I guess I'll kind of start off. What was it like sharing the same locker room with Odell Becham Jr.?
I don't know how many times I had a 5-year-old ask me that question. but no, it was he was a good dude. He was you see in the media so many different sides of him, but he was a really great player, obviously a great teammate, and we all loved him.
So you think he might be a little bit misunderstood, would you say? Absolutely.
My bad. Sometimes when you have passion, like, people take it the wrong way. Tom Brady has passion. He is fiery on the sideline sometimes. They don't view it that way. Odell's a young, black kid in his 20s, and he has a world in his hand. It appears. So sometimes that can come off a certain way to certain people, but where some people may see he's a problem, we saw it as a passionate guy that we love to have on our team.
So in your mind, he was really kind of well liked overall in the locker room. There wasn't. Because, I know what you're saying. The media would kind of paint the picture that he was split. So he was well liked in the locker room overall.
There was never at all an issue with him.
Really? I guess the media just loves to feed off of.
Yeah, that's really fascinating because the media would always paint, because they always would emphasize all the kind of some of the drama that he had on and off. But I mean, of course, they should talk about his playmaking and everything, but they make him more polarized than it sounds like he is. So you're saying that everyone kind of, I know Eli always really liked him and talked really highly about him. And of course, Eli's the ultimate professional, so we wouldn't expect anything less from him. But that's really fascinating, though, to hear that perspective.
Well, you got to think about it. New York is the media capital of the world, and we are New York's team. You know, in the day, you live in Jersey, you live in New York, you ask people like New York and New Jersey, it's Giants football.
Not the Jets, right? All the Giants.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And, you know, when things are going great, it's great. They're praising you. But when things aren't going great and you're having a losing season, then they do everything they can to divide the locker room up.
Yeah. I mean, that seems what like what happened that season.
Yeah, because that's probably specifically the McAdoo's second season. Was there a lot of did he lose the locker room a little bit, or was there kind of some resentment in the latter half of the year? Or did things kind of just fall off the wagon from the beginning of the year, and just that's how the NFL goes sometimes? You get a couple.
When it's the New York Football Giants, it's not the I'm not going to throw down any organizations, but you get the idea. It's they've won multiple Super Bowls, and even before that, multiple world championships. They on the side of every football is the Duke, and that was named after the original Giants owner. It's so much history in that building, like you guys have no idea. So much history. So like you can't be mediocre as an organization. You have to be a contender, a Super Bowl contender every year. And if you're not, then the first thing they're going to do is look for a person to point the finger at. And being how McAdoo was the head guy in the organization, the media pointed the finger at him. At the end of the day, he's not out there catching balls, making tackles, and this and that. Mm-hmm. We aren't. So there's nobody in that locker room that points the finger at a head coach. Mm-hmm. We win and we lose games. They tell us, what plays are run, but in the day we have to execute them. We didn't.
I kind of had a question to add on top of that. Do you think the expectations are higher in a football town like New York over a team like Cincinnati that you played at the end of your career?
100%, yes.
Just the size of that media market.
Yeah, I guess New York's prone to winning more than a team like Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati's made the playoffs all those years, but they never won a playoff game under Marvin Lewis.
Did you ever see like the media ever getting into? You talk about the presence of the media. Did it ever get into the locker room and hurt it in any way? I mean, you don't have to give a specific example, but I mean, yeah. I mean, it's pretty much what Michael was saying. They did their part in trying to come in, and I was always one of those players that didn't. They viewed me as a quiet person. It's not because I was quiet. It's just that I'm not going to give you what you're looking for. Yeah.
You're just too locked in on your goals. Can't worry about what they're saying on the outside because they're not in the locker room, right?
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's just like there are certain questions where I know where you're trying to go with this, and I'm going to give you the answer you want.
Yeah. I mean, that's why you guys are professional interviewers. That's why, like, we can sit here being college kids. We can't pry stuff out of you guys. You guys do it for a living. I mean, that's why.
Yeah, the second you say something, I mean, you have people. There was one reporter, and this lady, man, she's not in the NFL anymore, but and thankfully, she walked around, and like we all knew what the situation was. She did everything she could to try to divide the locker room up, and wow. She'd come and come on her heels and come with a smile, but like she asked certain questions that like that's not a question you ask if you're trying to like unite a team. That's a question you ask if you're trying to divide a team and trying to stir up drama.
Mm-hmm. Get those clicks and those headlines out. It's really fascinating to hear because we know it kind of illuminates these reporters in a way they're not on you guys' side. They have an agenda to get clicks and they have a different goal than you guys have. You guys are trying to win and unite.
Yeah, there's some people in the media that like they really are good people, and they
Yeah, for sure.
guys on the media that I talk to all the time off the record, but there are some that try to stir it up and get the story, and you just have to know who they are.
Did you ever have like a scenario? Like, could you remember a time where someone did say something? You don't have to make specifics, but like, was there a time where someone did say something and the media got to them, and then it just came back to the locker room, and the guys in the locker room just like looked at that player different? Or, like,
I mean, you gotta think a lot of these guys that they're interviewing, they're 22, 23 years old.
mm-hmm.
They say one thing, not thinking first, and in the New York Post.
Yeah.
So it's like, but we have people come in. We have meetings on how to, deal with the media beforehand. Like, they don't just throw us to the wolves. Like, they tell us, okay, make sure you say this. Make sure you don't say this because this is how it can be portrayed.
I mean, it just seems like nowadays too, everyone's just trying to get something out of someone, and it's just like there's never just like a football question asked. It's always they want you to say something. Like the Bill Belichick interviews, you always see reporters, all they're trying to do is get him to say one thing, and they can never get it.
He focuses on football.
Yeah,
it brings it back to the main mission, the main purpose, and why he's there.
Mm-hmm. Is the Marshawn Lynch tactic a good tactic for that New York media? I mean,
it worked for him in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I guess he's a unique guy. He's a character. So
back to your playing time. Was there anyone on the field? Like, I mean, you're lining up against some of the best players out at the end position. I mean, you got some of the best tackles in the league. I mean, you played you played against Tyron Smith, right?
Yeah.
Was that how are those matchups?
Man was strong.
I need you to settle a debate for me too. Do you think Tyron Smith or Trent Williams? I've been saying Trent Williams forever.
Tyron.
I don't know. That's tough. You're forgetting the guy from Philly too.
Yeah, Jason Peters.
Jason Peters.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good too.
I've seen Peters and Trent go inside and play guard for a game and dominate.
Yeah. Which one did you have more success against, I guess?
So my first game starting was Thursday night, my second year in the league, against the Redskins. Well,
was RG3 still there when that happened? Because I know there's a picture of you. Either you sacked him or you tackled him or something.
That was my rookie year.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but no, and I ended up having a really good game. And I remember this one play where the ball was ran to me. Good hand placement, was able to throw him off and make a TFL. And I remember just like being super hype afterwards. I mean, he did also reach me that game too. I'm going to give him his credit. He's a great player, but I remember having probably my best games against but it wasn't just him. It was like the team as a whole. Probably my best game against the Redskins. I had some good ones against the Cowboys and Eagles as well. But
how cool was it that those Cowboys Giants primetime games? I mean, how are those games atmosphere wise, and how cool was that?
Man, it was live. It was so live. Playing in Jerry's world, we come out, and while we're coming out to the locker room, we had to walk through this bar. So people were just banging the glass before we even walk in. And then we get to the stadium, they announce us, we get booed by I don't know how many people there. But it's just like that stadium is ridiculous. It's like when you roll up to it, it's like a mountain on a hill. And it's just crazy. And then, but no, so like so we come out, and then you have like 100 cheerleaders come out with the little mascot, and it's just like this parade. And about time everybody comes out, like you're fired up, you're pissed off, you have to sit there and wait for all this BS, and then you can play. So it's it was some live games. Philly was so hostile. That was fun because of how hostile it was.
Really?
Pulling up to the stadium, having eggs thrown at the bus,
Damn.
Middle fingers. Like that was fun.
Yeah, J-Mac told us Philly's got the best fans in sports, so it doesn't sound like you agree with that. Based
Yeah,
on his,
they're the best fans if you're an
Couldn't
Eagles
believe that.
player. They're the worst human beings if you're not a Eagles player.
They have a gel in their stadium.
Yeah, I've told these boys the story so long. The Eagles fans are the worst fan base in the NFL.
Wait, so they actually have a jail in their stadium?
Yeah,
That's real?
Yeah, they do.
What's your best memory from rolling up to the Philly stadium? And
It was probably so we know what it was. It looked like it was the size of a baseball. I guess it was like some type of egg. It was a perfect throw defense. Splatter right across the bus.
you're getting egged as you enter the stadium. That's insane. What was your most memorable game in the NFL? Atmosphere-wise or anything?
Part of my favorite games was it was the Bills game. We went to Buffalo. That was another hostile crowd. Our coach told us ahead of time, was like you're playing a college team. When you walk up and you roll up to the game, it kind of feels like that. Everybody's flicking you off. Little kids are flicking you off. And
Bills Mafia.
Yeah. And we played. It was like a very physical game. We ended up beating them, I think, by maybe a touchdown. And I got a game ball that game. I just remember, walking off the field exhausted, beaten up, and it was just an amazing feeling.
Yeah. So I have one last question for you. It's in regards with good old JR right here. He told me, I think yesterday it was. He was like, "Yeah, dude, Kerry slowed down a little bit. He doesn't bench as much as you. He's not as fast as he was." JR claims that he could beat you in a 40, 60, any racer.
Never said that once.
JR's been getting after it lately. He's been benching a lot in our garage. These nice little 35-pound dumbbells. He likes to bench these 35-pound dumbbells. And he said, "Kerry, I could take Kerry one-on-one any day."
Never. Those words never came out of my mouth.
Any response for that? Don't believe anything he says.
Maybe
I'm telling you,
baseball, maybe, but I promise you, any other sport, he would lose it.
What about golf?
Golf, I would probably hit the ball farther than you.
Wow. John, any rebuttal?
He's extremely slow. He's unathletic.
Yes, there it is. John is the most unathletic person there is.
He listens to rap, but it's the worst version of hip hop that you will ever hear.
Oh,
he probably listens to the clean version.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
What is bad taste in women?
Oh, that is true. You can talk. Jared, where's Addison? Jared's girlfriend. You know Jared's girlfriend now, right? Right.
No. Not his current girlfriend, but in the past they've been kind of bad.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that.
No, what about?
So what can you say? And he's blushing right now. So that's the worst part.
Yeah, whatever. That's funny.
One more. I want to get back to, before we wrap it out, I want to get back to Eli real quick. What do you think? Why do you think they benched him that season in McAdoo's second season? Was it just they wanted to give the young guys a shot? And what was the reaction to that in the locker room?
I mean, we weren't playing well as a team, and they wanted to switch it up. And that's what they did.
Did it cause any distress in the locker room or anything?
No, I mean, we support whoever's on the field. We supported Eli when he was on the field. We supported Geno when he was on the field against Oakland. And then when Eli came back and started, we supported him again.
So in general, you're kind of a big Eli guy. I feel like he's such the consummate professional, and just kind of represented the Giants so well in his career. Do you think he is appreciated enough in the last couple of years?
I don't know. I mean, he had some good games, and I'm sure he has some games he wish he could take back. But that's everybody. I feel the same way about myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
All right, well, we want to thank you for coming on tonight. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, John, for helping us out getting this. Everyone,
you're welcome.
All of our listeners, if you guys want to, you can go give JR's podcast over at The Hangover a listen. They're kind of quirky, weird guys. I don't know if our audience will mesh with them.
I don't know if you want to listen to it, honestly.
But thank you very much, Kerry, for coming on. It's been a pleasure. This episode releases tomorrow, actually, so we'll get this up. And thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your guys' week, everyone, and that will do it.